AITAH for going in sea with my mom and destroying my brother's perfect family. Long story, I will try to boil it down. I am 46F and my brother is 35M. My brother is the golden child and ever since he was born. My mother was never the same towards me. I have never held that against him as he didn't choose this role and I know he feels guilty, even though it's not his fault. And I tell him that. I practically raised my brother from the age of 6 months old to 5 years old when I moved out. I was 11 years old when I started taking care of him, changing diapers, feeding him, bathing him, and putting him to sleep. I used to take him with me to visit and play with my friends. I loved him like he was my own son and still consider him my first child. My mom has periodically been verbally abusive towards me since I was 11 years old, screaming at me, calling me ungrateful, spoiled, and untrustworthy, although I have never been any of that. When she wasn't being abusive, she was either a loving mom or distant and neglectful. This has obviously fucked with my head as I love the loving mom, but the other side of her has been hurting me for 35 years. She has only said sorry once, and it was said in a mocking, childish way, sorry, sorry, sorry. Okay, sorry. My mom is also incredibly manipulative. I have tried to forgive her and given her a second chance over and over. For 35 years. And for 35 years, I have suffered the abuse 2 to 3 times a year, and a lot more often when I was a teenager. I have suffered through all of this for my brother's sake. I didn't want to leave him behind with only my mom as family. Our dad died when my brother was 14. He was verbally abusive too. After my mom's last attack, I was done. I have a chronic pain condition that is affected by stress, and it's getting worse for every attack. Not to mention my mental health is suffering. I cut contact with my mom in February, and my brother has been trying to get me to forgive my mom and let her back in my life ever since. I can't take the abusive mom anymore, but I am also grieving the loving mom I'm losing too. My brother keeps guilt-tripping me and I finally lost it. I screamed at him, "Do you have any idea what dark places mom makes me go to?" That last time she attacked me, I didn't want to be here anymore. I was desperately trying to make him understand. He hung up on me. I wrote him a very long message explaining everything I have gone through and that he needed to respect my decision and my boundaries. The next Monday, I get a phone call from my doctor. She needed to do a welfare check on me as my mom had called her with concern for my well-being. I wrote to my brother, "I ask you to respect my boundaries and you contact my doctor?" Whoa. His answer, "You are sick and need help. I will talk to you when you are better." I am devastated and unbelievable hurt and I haven't responded. It has now been more than 2 months with no communication. I realize that he is being manipulated by my mom, but I am still incredibly hurt. My brother and I have always been very close and this is killing me. And this is making me second-guess everything. So, Reddit, AITAH, relevant comments, and OOP's response to that. Atheist 42. I read it as worse. That brother told the mother private information between them, then mother called police. My mom had called her with concern for my well-being. If OP brother had called for welfare check, given he might have understood, I didn't want to be here anymore as SI/plea for help, that would be different. But sharing OP condition with their mother, when OP had blamed her, was the betrayal. OP. Yes, my brother told my mother, and knowing my mom, she used the information to manipulate him. Saying things like, "See, I told you she is mentally ill. I think we must call her doctor and have her committed, and I think it's best you leave her alone," would be just the thing she would say. For the sole purpose of putting a wedge between us. She has always been jealous of how close we are. But what did she expect would happen when she handed 11-year-old me my 6-month-old brother and basically said, "Here you go. Take care of him. I'm going to lay in bed and read magazines and eat chocolate." Disastrous thee. Don't ever speak to them again. You have to block them on everything and move away if you must. You can't afford to have these people in your life, or your mental health will continue to suffer. You have to face the fact that these people don't give a fuck about you and never have. Good luck. OOP, thank you. My mom is blocked on everything, but moving away is not an option for me. And I choose to leave the door open a tiny bit for my brother, just in case he ever realizes that he's being manipulated, but I refuse to reach out to him, and if he reaches out to me, it better be with an apology. Difficult, Bus 6026. OP going in sea with mother, and possibly by extension her brother, makes sense given mother's mental abuse and her brother's unwillingness to accept OP's boundaries regarding their mother. That said, OP did mention to her brother possibly wanting to end herself after an argument with the mother. Calling for a wellness check makes sense in that situation. OP, I don't think it makes sense asking for a wellness check from my doctor 8 months after said incidents. It was my mother who called the doctor 2 months ago after the fight with my brother. It was a brief, spiraling into the dark that I was able to pull myself out of in about 20 minutes, something I have had to do after every attack since I was 11 years old. He knows this. He saw me every day for 2 weeks over the summer and could see with his own eyes that I was okay. He was trying to mend things between my mother and me then, too. When he tried to guilt-trip me 2 months ago is when I finally snapped and yelled at him to stop and respect my boundaries, that I couldn't allow my mother to push me into that darkness anymore. He then went to my mother, and she contacted my doctor. Sorry if I'm not being clear. It's hard to boil it all down to a few sentences. Turbo 426. Depending on the conversation he had with your DR and what the doctor disclosed about you, they broke patient confidentiality.